Northwest Alberta is rugged country. Industries like forestry, agriculture, oil and gas, and others became the impetus for the development of towns and communities spread out across this diverse landscape. This part of the Boreal Forest is also home to the grizzly bear. Popular belief is that grizzlies only live in the high country of the Rockies or along the eastern slopes. You'll get a different answer if you ask someone who's grown up in this area.
Well, I'm born and raised in Grizzly, Alberta. I've lived here my whole life. My parents have lived here their whole lives. My grandpa lived here most of his life. Been in the bush my whole life, grew up trapping. Been with bears quite a bit. I've seen quite a few grizzly bears for sure in our area. Even down in the farmland, we've seen grizzly bears move in the last 15, 20 years.
So the issue facing the folks who live, work, and play in this region is to determine where the grizzlies live and better understand how many bears there are. The answers to those two questions will have an impact on just about everyone who spends time on this land base. Therefore, it was imperative a community approach would be adopted.
We're going to get started. Thanks everyone for being here today. We're here as part of our collaboration to deliver on Bear Management Area 1 knowledge gaps and other opportunities to address bear management area planning for the Grizzly Bear project. Back in 2010, there were different interests between different industry stakeholders, so the forestry sector, energy sector, the power sector, recreationalists, agriculturalists, and then government as well, on filling knowledge gaps for grizzly bear recovery, really, in the province. Being in Bear Management Area 1 up here in the Northwest, we really don't have a lot of information that's locally specific to our context. And so the impetus was trying to fill these knowledge gaps and find a way to work together to do that. We all recognize we all have interests representing our own organizations or companies that we work for, or special groups that we're representing around the table. I think a big part of the success that we've had to date over these past 4 years is acknowledging those special interests and not using them as something to fight over. It's not a conflict. She will also be posting all of the camera trail pictures based on species type on our Grizzly Tracker site as well, so that backyard biodiversity piece. The consensus is to fill the knowledge gaps on grizzly bear information so that we can fulfill some of the grizzly bear recovery requirements. Population inventory, that's a grizzly bear recovery requirement, and that is an interest amongst all of us so that we have more clarity around how we do management planning.
There are many users out on the landscape, from recreationalists to the oil and gas sector, but it is perhaps the forestry industry that has the biggest stake when it comes to managing resources and habitat.
What are we doing right today? We know we're not starting with a blank page. As one company, we've been working with an ecosystem-based management approach since about the late 1990s now. But we still are testing that to determine, is that working? We're trying to emulate what we see in observable patterns from natural disturbance as a driver on this landscape up here. But we really don't know what are we doing well. So it's an opportunity to test that. And then what are the things that we can do to refine, to do better, to really make a difference on this file and a collection of other species that we have to simultaneously address. So that's really our endpoint, is to try to put that science into practice. Okay, let's go for a walk. Whoa, bear! Any luck we won't see one of those today.
With 2.7 million hectares within their forest management area, DMI has a lot riding on getting the right information when it comes to the size and range of the grizzly bear population.
All the spruce trees in this area have been planted, but what's behind us here is all natural regeneration ingress. So from a grizzly bear perspective, clearly you have fairly good cover there.
A good chunk of that is within the grizzly bear range, as far as we know. I guess that's what we're trying to determine here. There's an awful lot of species in focus with that tenure on the landscape. Grizzly bears are just one of the focus here, but they can be kind of a catch-all for a number of species as a bit of an indicator. They're definitely that charismatic megafauna, and there's an awful lot of interest right now provincially as well as nationally on grizzly bear here as well.
Pulling various industry, government, and the public together towards a common goal can be a challenge, but it's something that has been achieved here in Peace River.
This is a big interdisciplinary group in its truest nature. think it's the only one operating to this level.
I guess the best way to explain it is just a bunch of people at the same time from different backgrounds and representing different groups recognize that there is an issue that has to be addressed, and there's a lot of information being brought to the table on grizzly bears in central Alberta and southern Alberta, but nobody was up here working on it. So a bunch of us at the same time, we just kind of agreed, hey, if we're going to get something done up here that's happening in central or southern Alberta and the other parts of the province, we're going to have to do it ourselves.
We have agriculturalists who are also industry operators, who are also trappers, who also hunt, fish and otherwise recreate. You know, I think we have a good representation. They have a group that reflects their constituents, and that's what you need.
This collaborative approach has struck the right chord. Decisions are reached on how best to design an approach to determine population numbers and where the grizzly bears are located. Setting off to map out the movements of grizzly bears and establish a baseline regarding their numbers in an area over 41,000 square kilometers is no small task.
I got the hammer and a pair of pliers.
Still, to implement an effective grizzly bear management plan, everyone sitting around the table agreed it was the way forward. It will mark the first grizzly population study for this area.
All right, carry on. I think it's also really important to know so that it can inform our future management decisions, whatever that may be for grizzly bears.
Yeah, maybe these little 4 aspens here.
Yeah, that's good.
Given this vast territory, biologists decided to use a DNA hair snare system.
Two of the main questions for us are how many bears we have on our landscape and how are they distributed across that landscape. And so to answer those two questions, this type of hair snare sampling grid that we've done has really become kind of the industry standard, collecting grizzly bear hair in various locations across the habitat. We can then link those hair samples genetically to a specific individual. And then when we have a bunch of those captures, as you could say, then we can start to project across the landscape not only how many bears we have, but how they are distributed. So for answering those two questions, this is really the technique to use.
How can taking DNA samples from the bear's hair provide clues as to their movement?
There we go.
So the DNA will tell us which individual was at a certain location at a certain time. When we're running approximately 280 of these hair sampling sites across the BMA, if we detect an animal in one spot within a certain sampling session, we not only know that the animal was there during that spot, but that it more than likely was not at the other sites. When we have a database of these detections and non-detection events, we can start to build an estimate of not only where bears are distributed, but then also kind of how they're moving and using the landscape around them. And so from that, we can develop some movement parameters that we can use to then better our population estimates.
With 286 hair snare sets scattered across this massive area, additional resources were needed. The Alberta Conservation Association had the field expertise and provided biologists and technicians to help set up the sites and collect and catalog hair samples and trail camera photos.
I think ACA is pretty darn good at coming into a group and working the relationships, bringing the relationships to the point where they can work together. We've had a lot of practice at that, and we're good at it. Working with industry, we've had a lot of experience with that, so that is stuff that always comes to the table to help this committee.
43 trail cameras were also set up the sites and resulted in thousands of pictures of animals. Not all of them grizzlies, mind you. In fact, the cameras provided a unique look into the diversity of animals that share this habitat. The sites were monitored over a 10-week period, resulting in 4,208 hair samples being collected. While many of these samples are likely to be black bears, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, the team sees it as an added value to have the black bear DNA tested, a first for Northwest Alberta. Collecting hard scientific data is critical in determining grizzly bear numbers, but the working group also wanted to engage local residents. To that end, they developed an app called the Grizzly Tracker. Wildlife encounters in the Peace River region are a fact of day-to-day living. Bear sightings are among the many wildlife contacts. So a unique approach was taken to develop an app that would encourage anyone who's out on the land to participate in citizen science.
Oh hey, did you put your Grizzly Tracker on?
It's a super important communication tool because we have a lot of our partners, our cooperators in the field on the industry side saying, I've seen a bear, I've seen a bear, I've seen a bear. Well, that often can be misunderstood as seeing multiple bears across the landscape. And our hunch is it's likely an individual bear that's potentially moving in the same space that other people are in. And so using the app in the way we have, collecting the observer effort through the GPS locations in a set interval will help us understand how many bears are actually out on the landscape that people are seeing. Are they individually different bears or are they all the same bear?
While still in the testing phase, the Grizzly Tracker has proven to be a useful tool.
The app seems to work. It's actually showing us, in terms of the observer effort and the track logs of individuals who are using the app, which does remain anonymous. We don't know who they are. Everyone has a unique ID. It's showing where the users are across the landscape and if they've seen a grizzly bear, a confirmed grizzly bear sighting, which is really helpful and important. And we can use that to understand trends in relation to our DNA population work.
It was an important step to get the industry to adopt the Grizzly Tracker, as there was a sense information gathered through the app had another purpose.
Yeah, at first we were really scared because my first thing was the government's going to know where we go, right? And what are they going to use it against industry? But the more I got comfortable with Courtney and Lyle and people that are part of the grizzly bear recovery team is they're not going to hold it against us. So we use the app.
While the app is a great tool to record grizzly sightings, most folks who spend time in the backcountry want to avoid contact with the bears. From a forestry perspective, companies like Boucher Brothers go out of their way to ensure there are no conflicts.
Respect your environment. Don't throw garbage out. Don't make things attractable for grizzly bears. Keep things clean. If you're tenting, you got to keep your camp clean. You do not have toothpaste, our personal stuff in our tents. You think about it, in our tree planting camp, we probably have 25 tents just out in the open. If there was a problem there, we'd have problems. So we don't have problems because we respect the land. We keep garbage in container units. And also, none of us hunt during work. We are the people that are way back in the forest. We could be bad people, but we're not, right? Most people that are in our industry are really good people.
The philosophy and practicality of being bear aware are catching on in the Peace River area. Even the simple act of going out for a run requires extra precautions.
Running in the hills like this, I'm usually aware of bears. I try to look for signs and berry bushes, but I tell you, when I run with the bear spray, I have that kind of sense of relief almost, a sense of safety that I have some sort of deterrent between me and a potential bear encounter. So I definitely like running with it. And when I run with it, to be honest with you, I don't even notice it's there.
From the recreational user to the many professionals who work on the land in various industries, the collaborative work being done by the Grizzly Bear management team ultimately is for the betterment of the entire Peace River region. It has taken some time to get here and to bring various stakeholders, all with different agendas, to the table. But this unique approach is starting to show results, and ultimately, that'll be good news for both people and grizzly bears.